Alright, welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. You see, I'm one of them that's afraid, right? Always been afraid to bring stuff up from Jamaica because I've had my run-ins with when I reach to the US. There's an issue there. Like, I don't want my Jamaican people to feel like him better than we, so him no want take the 2 piece of yam them and him no want take the ginger and the sorrel. No, it's because of the drama on the other end, right? And this story right here proves exactly what I'm saying. Let me tell my story first. So, one time I went to Jamaica. Couple of times them take on my things, you know. I went to Jamaica, so long story short, I was leaving. My grandmother said, "Come on, D, carry up some of the ginger." I said, "Grandma, I live in Florida, I can get ginger in Florida." My grandmother said, "Yes, man, but it's not like your grandfather ginger, you know." And I said, "You know what? I don't want them feel away because I'm elders, right? And I have utmost respect for my grandparents." So I decided to say, you know what? I take the ginger. So grandpa him now, remember I know my grandfather, take the ginger, wash the ginger, put the ginger out in the sun. Days before I left, you know, dry it completely, no dirt on it. Wrap it in a big Ziploc bag. See through everything. Why when I reach Florida, this lady, I said my heart sink. I thought she found drugs in my luggage. And it turned out it was my ginger. And here is her thing. "Did you declare the ginger coming in?" I said I did. Look on the thing, the little paper where you fill out. She said, "Alright, but this ginger right here, it has dirt on it." And I'm like, where is the dirt? I didn't even bother arguing with them. I don't want nobody carry me in a no back room, go strip search me, and these kind of things, bend over, cough, nothing. So, take the ginger and go on, lady. And I was so heated just because I lost my grandfather's ginger. It wasn't even so much the ginger because I live in Florida. I can actually get pretty much everything that I get in Jamaica. But like my grandmother said, it ain't my grandfather's ginger. They did the same thing to me with some sugar cane. This man's story now. And I'm taking this one from actually WashingtonPost.com. So it was printed in the Washington Post before it even got picked up in Jamaica News. And when I read it in the Jamaica newspaper, they didn't bring the whole story like the Washington Post did. So I chose to read it to you from the Washington Post. So this innocent man, it says, innocent man spends months in jail for bringing honey back to the United States of America. Honey, you know. Honey. Alright. So Leon Horton likes his honey in his tea, which is why during his Christmas visit to relatives in Jamaica, he made his regular stop and bought 3 bottles from his favorite roadside stand before heading home to Maryland. It was a routine purchase for him until he landed in Baltimore Airport. Custom officers detained Horton and police arrested him, accusing him of smuggling in not honey, but liquid methamphetamines. Horton spent nearly 3 months in jail before all charges were dropped, and 2 rounds of law enforcement lab tests showed no controlled substances were in the bottles. 3 months. By then, Horton, who according to his lawyer had no criminal record, had lost both his jobs. He was a cleaner as his side job, and him also have another job as a construction worker. The man, they are hustle, right? "They messed up my life," Horton said. "I want the whole world to know that the system is not right. If I didn't have strong people around me, they would probably leave me in jail. You're lost in the system." Months after his release, he is now only fully rebuilding his life after the setback devastated him and his family of 6 children. Horton's status as a legal permanent resident with a green card complicated his case even more because he was arrested at the airport for alleged drug felonies. His case triggered a federal detention order that extended his time in jail, court testimonies show. 20 days after his arrest, the state police lab test looking for drugs in the bottles came up negative. So this is 20 days after his arrest, you know. Everything came back negative. Yet and still, the 45-year-old father sat behind bars for 2 more months in total before the last of the charges were dropped after a second all clear in a federal lab test. So they took it to the lab. The lab said, it's clear, no drugs there. Somebody said, nah, send it to the lab again. And in that whole time, he had to sit there. Someone dropped the ball somewhere, said Terry Morris, which is Houghton's lawyer. An innocent man spent 82 days in jail for bringing honey into the United States. Alright, before I go any further, let me tell you something about the jail here. There's a documentary on TV that y'all need to go see about jail in, say, Miami. A lot of these jails, right, they have something in there called tap out or bang out, where you, once you get in a cell or in a holding area, as soon as that door shuts, people in there are going to test you, meaning you have to fight to stay in there. If you don't want to fight to stay in there, they start beating you, and they give you a chance to run to the door, bang out, call the CO, tell them, please take me out of here. They will then put you in what's called protective custody. It's rough from day one in there. Alright? So to do 82 days in here for 3 bottles of honey, and you know within yourself that I didn't have no drugs. Look at the situation that I'm in. Why? When I pray for the family members when them leave here, when we come to Jamaica and they say we kissing and loving up and telling them goodbye or we'll see you later, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Alright? And there's another thing that they do where they will pressure you with this charge and then try to tell you just cop out or plead to a lesser charge instead of having the system spend money to go to courts for this. And you're saying you in there for 80 odd days already, and you're saying, you know what, they're probably going to stick this charge to me. I'm looking at 20 something years, but they're gonna say if you take 5 years, agree to 5 years, lesser charge, something, bam, come out on probation or parole or whatever, probation, then we'll just drop everything else. And a lot of people actually do that and end up with a criminal record when they didn't do anything in the first place. So that brother here strong enough, it stayed at 82 days enough. Anyway, I don't have drugs. After landing at Baltimore Washington International Marshall Airport on December 29th around 10 p.m. nighttime, U.S. Customs and Border Protection detained Houghton for more than 2 hours. Then they questioned him for 2 hours, search him up, before Maryland Transportation Authority police put him in handcuffs, according to charging documents. The bottles with gold-colored screw tops labeled honey on them in his bag, they told him, had tested positive in a field test for methamphetamine. Houghton fainted as soon as them tell him that him dropped down. Because you could imagine all kinds of stuff going through his mind now. Oh God, they set me up or something. I might not be able to get out of this one. You're not thinking these people making a mistake. You're thinking somebody set you up. When that lady grabbed my bag of ginger and talked about, I was so freaking scared. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to prison. These people set me up, right? Because I know for a fact I didn't put no drugs in my stuff and nobody else packed my bags but me. But to reach into the US and then hear, did you pack this yourself? I said, yes. Are you 100% certain? I said, yes. Unzip. Oh God. Then to hear them tell him that they found methamphetamine in his luggage, they said as soon as they told him the man fainted, had to be taken to the hospital and dropped down. They then took him to the hospital and from the hospital to jail. Every year of nearly 10 years since Houghton had been living in Prince George's County, the native of Jamaica travels to the island in December to visit his mother. So it's not somebody with dash for Jamaica. Some people left Jamaica a long time ago, and if you ask them when last you been back there, and them papers straight. I'm not talking about the people who they up on a thing and I try straighten out a thing for work out a thing, you know what I'm saying? Not judging nobody, I'm saying people with papers straight. Haven't been back in mad years. This man go back every single year since he left. Going back every single year, travel to Jamaica to visit his mother. So it's not like him throw a stone behind him. It's not like him dash for him family. The green card holder never had any problems returning to Maryland until December of last year, when a canine unit started sniffing around his bag at the airport. Horton thought the dog was interested in his leftover chicken. You know, when you come through the airport and you say, "No man, you say, boom, let me go next door and go get some chicken, a chicken meal, whether it's a fricassee chicken or, you know, I say a jerk chicken dinner, and you bring it on the plane and you think, oh, the dog must like the jerk chicken and say," but Horton said he quickly noticed that agents and officers whispering to one another before disappearing behind a screen. When they returned, a man took Horton away. His bag didn't come with him. Police, in charging documents, said a canine named Benny conducted a random scan and alerted to possible drugs. Inside the bag, there were 3 large plastic bottles as honey of suspected liquid methamphetamine, charging documents stated. Now let me tell you another thing what they do, and they had a documentary on this as well. These officers, a lot of them, they make the dog act like the dog just smelled something that the dog is trained to smell. Good boy, Benny, good boy. You right here. Is it right here, Benny? Yes, good boy. Time the dog not smell nothing in there and the dog is not acting like the dog smelled anything. They make the dog act like that. A lot of the times in traffic stops, it has been proven that they actually do that just to justify the traffic stop. Anyway, I'm 100% sure I don't have any drugs, Horton recalled, insisting to the agents, "I only have honey." Horton had given up sugar years ago, but he drinks honey with his tea. I myself don't use sugar, but he drinks honey with his tea. He prefers honey from a particular bee farm in Jamaica because it is cheaper and more pure, and he always asks his friends visiting the island to please bring me back some. Kerry Phillips, Horton's girlfriend, said that when he didn't come home from his Jamaica trip, she automatically assumed that he had extended his stay, which he had done quite a few times in the past, and couldn't get in touch with her right away. Days later, she got a letter from the Anne Arundel County Detention Center from Horton. "I was shocked." Phillips said, "It seems unreal to me. If someone does a crime, you can understand, but if there's nothing, that time is wasted. It's just honey." Horton was facing at least 25 years in jail. So you could imagine when they went to go see him what they're saying. Look, you're looking at 25 years in here, right? What you want to do is you want to cop to a lesser plea. They've put this deal on the table. So you have to be strong in yourself to say, "No, I'm not copping to no plea. I didn't do nothing wrong." Think about 20 days in, someone would start to crack. The average person would start to crack. You hold the faith. 40 days in, it double your 20. That's 2 months gone. Almost 2 months gone. You're like, "Oh my God, me now come out." 60 days in, you're starting to think, all right, where's that plea deal? All right. He appeared in court for a bail review 2 days after his arrest. The public defender at the hearing said that Horton had no prior convictions and had lived in the area for the past 9 years. A judge agreed to let him go on a work release program. Court files and recordings of the hearing showed exactly that. But more than 3 weeks later, he was still behind bars. The drug charges triggered detention orders from CBP officials. Horton's lawyer said, although the Maryland police lab returned the test on the bottles that indicated there were no CDS detected on the honey bottles on January 17th, and although prosecutors had dropped the 3 felony charges, drug charges against him on January 23rd, Horton still was facing a misdemeanor charge for possession of a controlled dangerous substance, or CDS, controlled dangerous substance. The problem is, I can't let him go to ICE. Horton asked to be released on January 24th of his second bail hearing, but Anne Arundel County District Court Judge Laura M. Robinson worried that he would not appear for trial. She was saying that he would probably run. Now, I looked up everywhere trying to find this lady to see what she looked like, because I know black people got extra hard upon them own, because they have to prove to their associates that I'm not like them, I'm like you kind of thing, right? Just like Meat Mill case with that one judge that just wouldn't get off his case even when the prosecution was saying, hey, we've let it go, y'all can let it go too. The judge said, no, you let it go, but I'm picking it up. And kept on. Alright, the problem is, I can't let him go to ICE because he would be deported potentially. Now, can you imagine how many other people have been down this road and were actually really deported? Robinson said, according to a recording of the hearing. So this is not anything that is made up. These are recordings that Washington Post went and did their researches and their investigation and found the video clips and the recordings and put this whole thing together, right? Even if I release you, you still wouldn't necessarily be released. You would go into federal detention, is what the judge said to Houghton. Houghton was then sent back to jail, appearing in court for a third bail hearing February 5th. Remember, I know, December, the man lock up, you know. Alright. Morris, Houghton's lawyer, told the judge that Houghton should be released because the immigration detainer was triggered by the felony charges which had been dropped. The federal government was in the middle of this past winter shutdown, and Morris said he couldn't reach anyone at Immigration and Customs Enforcement to lift the detainer. The thing that's going to end up happening, and they're going to realize it's just honey, Morris said during the bail review. He's been in jail for 30 days so far for honey. Robinson said that she would consider releasing Houghton on his own reconnaissance, but only if the federal government pulled the detention order. The ICE detainer is relatively prohibitive, Robinson said. I'm kind of up against it on the ICE detainer. Houghton went back to jail again. Alright. When are you coming home? Had Houghton been stopped at any other location, according to multiple immigration lawyers, federal authorities probably would not have issued a detainer for him, because Houghton was stopped at a port of entry at an airport. The felony charges probably triggered inadmissibility proceedings, which requires only that law enforcement officials have reason to believe, nothing else. They just need to have reason to believe someone is in drug trafficking to trigger a deportation proceedings. Now y'all know that? They don't even have to have solid proof yet. They just need to have reason to believe someone is a drug trafficker to trigger possible deportation proceedings, according to the immigration lawyers. Damn. Some of y'all mix up into some stuff out there. You might want to walk a straight line because they really need no reason to believe. They just need some kind of strong suspicion. No, sir. The standard, however, is murky, said Adina Applebaum, program director of the Immigration Impact Lab at the Capital Area Immigrant Rights Coalition. As a basis for removing someone from the country, it is concerning because of how broadly it can be interpreted and applied. Applebaum said, more broadly, this case demonstrates the disproportionate consequences that criminal offenses and allegations can have in the immigration realm, including for people who have lawful status of a green card. Emma Winger. So you're trying to tell me you're there, you're good with your green card and everything. You just at wrong place, wrong time. They just have to suspect that you are involved in drug trafficking, and that could be enough to detain you and for them to trigger that deportation proceedings. And if your case ain't sorted out before your deportation stuff is stamped to go, guess what? You might be deported wrongfully, even without being an illegal alien. Emma Winger, a staff attorney for the American Immigration Council, said that Houghton's case is unusual in that he was detained over honey, but not surprising in other aspects. It's not unusual that people are held in criminal custody with ICE detainers, have their detentions prolonged, and then the charges are dismissed. So in other words, they're admitting that this happens all the time. The only thing that's different about his case is it was honey that he was held with. Winger, like Morris, said that the detainer for Horton probably should have been dropped when the felony drug trafficking charges had disappeared, but it wasn't. Once it was down to possession and not drug dealing, that seemed like a good reason to drop the detainer. Winger said, but, she added, it's a little bit fuzzier because in the theory, all immigration need to charge under this ground of inadmissibility is that they had probable cause. Are y'all hearing this? To believe Horton was a drug trafficker who should be barred entry. All they need is probable cause. This is some new stuff. Morris said that he attempted to reach ICE multiple times to get the detention order lifted, but couldn't make contact. Both Applebaum and Winger said that they are not surprised. It is generally difficult to reach someone at ICE to lift detainers for what may be considered low priority cases, and during the shutdown, Applebaum said there was a lot of chaos and no responses. When asked about the case, CBP officials directed the Washington Post to Maryland Transportation Authority Police, which directed a reporter to prosecutors in the Anne Arundel County State's Attorney's Office. Prosecutors answered some questions about their case, but directed the Post, which is the Washington Post, a prominent paper here in the U.S., directed the Post to the Department of Homeland Security over questions on Horton's detainer. ICE directed the Post back to one big running around. ICE then directed the Post back to Customs, where Steve Sapp, a spokesman for U.S. Customs and Border Protection, said privacy laws prohibited the agency from discussing specifics of any individual traveler's arrival inspection. Horton recalls the emotions, the stress, the pain in his children's voices when they spoke on the phone while he was incarcerated, and he has 6 children. It broke me right down, Horton said. Every time they ask, when are you coming home? Now, going home. In explaining the need for 2 rounds of lab tests, Anne Arundel County State Attorney Ann Colt Lites said in an interview that the Maryland State Police Crime Lab is not equipped to analyze honey or liquid, so its result would not have cleared Horton. Because the first test came up negative, she said, the state dropped the 3 felony drug charges, but maintained the misdemeanor charges based on the drug canines hit. So based on a dog, they maintained. And the positive field test, while law enforcement sent the bottle to a Homeland Security lab all the way in Georgia for more testing. Listen, they just wanted to arrest and keep a nigga detained. Point blank, period. The ICE detainer is really what is holding him, Lites said. He was not being held on anything else with us. For weeks, Morris emailed prosecutors asking for the status of the lab test out of Georgia. Then, in a court hearing on March 21st, a month and a half after Horton's 3rd bail review and nearly 3 months after his initial arrest, prosecutors dropped the final charge. Horton could finally go home. Lites said her office had no control over how quickly the second test results arrived, but that it dropped the last charge against Horton immediately after learning them. Horton said that he has been trying to get his life back in order. He has a job driving a bread truck now after losing his previous job while he was in jail, and his children are trying to improve their grades after the trauma of his disappearance affected their schoolwork. Horton said that he is constantly trying to reassure his children, one of whom burst into tears when Horton came home because she didn't recognize her father, that he isn't going to vanish again. But some scars, Horton said, just won't go away. I'm scared to even travel right now, Horton said. You're innocent and you can still end up in jail. And this was taken from the Washington Post, right? Lynn Bui. Lynn Bui is a local reporter covering Prince George's County Police, Fire and Courts. She joined Washington Post in 2012 and had previously covered Montgomery County education, and she's the one who's responsible for this post after a thorough investigation in beta.washingtonpost.com. Local/legal issues. Innocent man spent months in jail for bringing honey back to the United States. Alright, so like I said before when this video started, right, I want my Jamaican people to understand. So you see when you know pop the little something them and say I carry go not get to if you carry go up. It's not everybody happy with the bommy and all that. I mean, we want the stuff. Like the last time we went to Jamaica was a few months ago, and Brains bring back one bunch of something, and throughout the whole of it, I was just nervous the whole way because Bami, Aki, like just a whole bunch of stuff. We still have beans, peas and stuff were left, beans, not peas, were left in the freezer right now. Gungo peas, right? Them shell gungo peas, you know what people treat we good. But think about the consequences or where you can end up when you dealing with these people that don't even look at you as human in the first place anyways, and they're looking for some kind of a reason to put you in their system. Look at this man end up in there for 80 odd days over 3 bottles of honey. That could have been me, because I bring back a bottle of roots drink and the roots drink look just like the honey. Some baba roots with no sweetener in it, right? Bitter roots, and they look just like the honey. So that could have been me. Anyway, leave your comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. Tell me if you still feel confident coming through customs in whatever state you land in with all the stuff that you bring back, your fried fish and your bami and your this and your that and your aki and your ray ray. After hearing this story, do you still feel okay? Or is this going to make you a bit more skeptical and a bit leery, considering that you could end up in detention for 80 odd days before being free? Or worse, you could possibly end up, because think about it, if someone in the background was dirty and they said, fuck him, pardon my language, put it on him anyways, it was dirty. Or sprinkle a little bit of methamphetamine in there and make it seem like it was real. We can't make ourselves look that bad. And somebody actually pinned that charge to you, and now you're looking at 20, 25 years behind bars. I think I feel more comfortable just pop my clothes in and my stuff and just come through airport. Anything to declare? No sir. Send me on my way. Talk to me in the comment section. It's SouFLoTV, man. I'm out. Peace.